You don't have to be perfect. That is a lie that is being generated from the egoic mind. And the root of that lie is that fundamentally you are not enough, you are not worthy, and that you have to prove yourself to other people in order to be accepted and validated and loved and enough. But perfectionism is an illusion. And the way we transcend this illusion is by knowing the truth, and the truth is what makes us free. So what perfectionism tells us is that all these people around us are thinking about us all the time, and they're judging us, and they're critiquing us, and they're condemning us, and they're holding us to this standard. And if we don't meet that standard in their eyes, then we're not enough. Then we're unworthy. Then we're unlovable, whatever. You fill in the blank. That's the way it works. But the crazy thing about all this is that that idea, that belief is something that is happening in the mind. It's not reality. And the way through this is, like I said, knowing the truth. And the truth is, not everyone is thinking about you all of the time. And the truth of it is, most people, the majority of people, are thinking about themselves most of the time, probably like 95% of the time or 99% of the time. They're not thinking about you. Everyone is thinking about themselves. That's the nature of the egoic mind. And so when you understand that, then that kind of frees you up a little bit, because then you're like, well, wait a second. If no one else is thinking about me as much as I think they're thinking about me, then I can be myself. I can start to live authentically. And when you start to live authentically, this is when everything changes, because this is the doorway into you activating and living from your true divine essence, which transcends the ego and the body and the mind and space and time. And this is when you can start to bless the world in a way that no one else can. That's the magic, that's the beauty of authenticity. Your true authentic self is your unique gift to the world. Simply being yourself is your unique gift to the world. It's the way you bless the world in a way that no one else can. And this happens once we awaken, once we realize that who we thought we were, according to this egoic construct and living up to this imaginary standard of perfection, is the very thing that is limiting us and preventing us from the reason why we're here on this earth, why we incarnated. And the thing about it is, the reason we're here, our purpose, goes way beyond who we think we are. It goes way beyond the sense of being a separate egoic self. And like I said, your authentic self, being who you really are, not caring what other people are thinking about you, is how you activate that divine power. That's how you activate, that's how you shine your light in the world. You are the light of the world, but the way you shine that light is by letting go of all these illusory ideas and beliefs about you having to be a certain way in the eyes of someone else. So this is actually something that I've experienced. This is a big part of my story, is dealing with perfectionism and OCD and anxiety and fear and shame, because for me, I grew up in a super religious home, and I grew up believing that there was a God somewhere up there in the sky, up in the heavens, who was constantly judging me and critiquing me. And I had to be on my best behavior all the time, because this God was always watching me, and he was like some kind of cosmic Santa Claus. And what happened was, as a kid, I believed that because I was taught that, not necessarily by my parents, but just by my religious community. And everyone else kind of believed that I knew, and they didn't know why they believed that. They just believed that because that's what they were taught. That's what they were told. But when I had that in my subconscious, what happened was that belief became ingrained deep within me. And when we go through, like, the first 7 years of our lives, we all undergo a subconscious programming. And this subconscious programming is not our choice. We're not choosing how we're being programmed. This is a program that is given to us by different external influences. But anyways, when we're going through this, like for me, it was this idea that there's a God who's always watching me and judging me, and I have to be in my best behavior all the time in order to be accepted and loved and forgiven by God, so that I can be rewarded someday when I die and I have to stand before Him during some kind of ultimate judgment. So what happened to me was I took that, well, it was given to me, we could say, it was part of my subconscious programming, and as I got older, I took that belief, and this was all happening in the subconscious, and I started to project that onto other people around me. And that's what led me into this life of perfectionism, because I was always trying to prove to other people that I was worthy, that I was enough, that I was accepted, that I was lovable, that I was, you know, fill in the blank, whatever. It all had to do with validation. But that's the way the subconscious mind works. The subconscious mind will always project our deepest beliefs into our external reality and onto other people, especially like relationships and stuff like that, the people that we're closest to. And so what happened to me was I had that belief of being judged all the time and having to live up to some kind of holy standard. And when I was playing sports growing up, I played soccer, and my dad was my coach for years, and my dad was a great coach, and he's a fantastic dad. I've been extremely blessed to have him in my life. And when I was playing soccer, I was always so focused and fixated on like having to have the perfect game in order for me to prove to my dad that I was worthy and enough and a good athlete, because I was thinking in my mind that my dad's measure of acceptance was directly connected to my performance, because that's how I was viewing God, and I was taking that view of God and I was projecting it onto my dad. And so I was so focused on that, and so if I would have a bad game, I would automatically be devastated and disappointed, because I was thinking in my mind that now my dad loves me less, or now my dad accepts me less, or now my dad thinks that, you know, I'm not enough, I need to perform better in order to be something. But my dad, and I didn't know this at the time because the perfectionism and the egoic mind was preventing me from seeing this and understanding it, but my dad loved me unconditionally. Of course he wanted me to play well, but my performance was not something that determined whether or not he accepted me and whether or not he loved me and whether or not I was validated in his eyes. But I couldn't see that because I was living in this mental matrix of the ego, of perfectionism, of being a separate self, and I was so focused on that lie, which was a subconscious belief. So do you see how that works? And I know for so many people, they've experienced similar things like that with projecting certain beliefs onto other people, family members, parents, friends. And you know, for me, as I got older, I took that and I would project it onto different coaches that I had when my dad stopped coaching me, different leaders, teachers, mentors, and it really kept me stuck. It really kept me trapped in this lie, in this illusion of perfectionism and having to prove to everyone that I am a somebody and that I am enough and that I am good and holy and righteous and whatever. And it's so exhausting, and it prevents us from why we're here. And the amazing thing about what I'm sharing with you today is if you're someone that's experiencing this, or you have experienced this in the past, the good news is that you don't have to live trapped by this anymore. And if you understand this truth that I'm sharing and you start to reprogram your subconscious mind, then you can experience the healing and you can experience transformation in your life. And here's the thing, what you realize when you start doing any kind of inner work or subconscious programming, what you realize is most of it goes back to our early days when we were a child. That's when the majority of the subconscious programming takes place, in the first 7 years of our lives, when we're primarily in the theta brainwave state. That's when most of it is happening. And so when you're doing inner work, a lot of it involves like going within and seeing that inner child that has never left you. And, what the perfectionism and the illusion of the ego will tell us is that what we really want, and if we just had this, then we would be ultimately fulfilled and satisfied. What we really want is validation and acceptance and love from someone out there, external. But what the inner child really wants and what the inner child really needs is self-acceptance. It's self-love, self-forgiveness. Because that's the thing. Like, when you actually love yourself fully, you forgive yourself, you show yourself mercy and grace, you accept who you are, then you're instantly healed, you're set free from that lie, and now you start to project a completely different power. You project a completely different truth into your external reality. Now all of a sudden you're seeing people for who they really are, because now you know who you really are, and you're free of this egoic self, and you're free of all the lies and all the different beliefs that are disempowering, and now you're empowered. Now you're living from awakening, and now all of a sudden you know that it all boils down to being able to fully accept yourself. That is where your liberation is. That is where the truth is. Because when that happens, when you're able to do the inner work and you experience that for yourself, then you can shine your light into the world. But until that point, you cannot shine your light in the world, because your light is being hidden, it's being veiled by this mindset of having to be perfect and having to prove to other people and trying to win over external validation and acceptance. But all that goes away, all that dissolves the second you realize, this is, in my opinion, this is true enlightenment, this is true awakening. It's the second you realize that the love, the acceptance, the validation, the worthiness, all of it, that all those things that you've been searching for out there somewhere, in other people, in other experiences, relationships, circumstances, has been the very thing that you've been needing from your own self. And when you give yourself that total acceptance and love, that is when everything changes. And then, like I was saying earlier, you realize, well, wait a second. If everyone else is thinking about themselves and they are dealing with their own stuff and they're working through their own inner demons, and that's where the majority, let's just say 95% of their focus is, well then, why am I so concerned about other people? Because the reality of it is these other people are not thinking about me all the time. And the curriculum here on Earth School, is to do the inner work for yourself, to free yourself of the false self, of the ego, so that you can live from who you really are, and then you can help free and heal other people of this great illusion and lie of the ego, which is fundamentally rooted in separateness. So, if you are someone who has been experiencing this, I want you to, wherever you are, I want you to take a deep breath, and I want you to realize that there is nothing to prove. And if you need to turn that into a mantra, do that. That's a wonderful mantra. Just say that throughout the day, either out loud or in your head. There's nothing to prove. I am fully accepted. I am fully validated. I am fully worthy. I am fully loved because I choose to love myself. I choose to accept myself. I choose to forgive myself. I choose to let go of all these things that are preventing me from seeing the truth of my being. And now I'm going to live from the truth of my being And the truth of your being doesn't care about what other people think, because the truth of your being sees everything as one. It sees from this place of unity consciousness where there is no separation, and fundamentally, beyond the body, beyond the mind, beyond space, and beyond time, we're all one. And that's why the whole like projection and subconscious mind thing makes sense, because what that's showing us, what that is telling us is that what I'm doing to others, I'm doing to myself. Whatever I'm projecting, it's all interconnected. But to the degree that you're stuck in separateness and egoic consciousness, you will believe that you are not enough, you are disempowered, you are not worthy, unlovable, all these negative things. But the truth is, the reality of it is, there is absolutely nothing to prove. So today is the day that you need to let go of that. Let it go. Be who you really are. Let your light shine, which is your authenticity, and see the world change around you. See the world heal around you. See the world be liberated around you. Because this is why you are here. Don't be limited by the mind. Don't be limited by this lie of perfectionism and having to prove myself to other people because all these people are thinking about me all the time. They're not thinking about you all of the time. They're thinking about themselves if they're living from the ego. But we come here to free ourselves and to free others and to live as one, to live in harmony, to live in peace, and to live in love. So I think that's it for today. I think I've said enough, and I hope this resonated with you. And if it has, please let me know. That means a lot to me, and it shows other people that this is something that many of us are experiencing and walking in and healing from. And it's good to see other people on the journey with you, because that's another lie that the ego always tries to come up with. The ego always says that we are alone. That is not true. You are not alone. We are all in this together. And as Ram Dass says, we are all just walking each other home. That is what it's all about, okay? So, if you found this video helpful, informative, or insightful, please leave a thumbs up at the bottom of the screen and be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.